Good morning, everyone. I think we can slowly start with this Q&A clinic for PMS. Before starting with the questions, as usual, some housekeeping notes. So please be aware that this session is going to be recorded as always, and we will make it available through the EMA YouTube channel and also on the EMA event webpage. As always, we are using a Slido, and we ask you to ask your questions or give your input on the tool. The interaction with Slido is voluntary, but if you choose to use it, you are giving the consent to the processing of the personal data, as it is explained in the EMA data privacy statement for Slido. Before we start, also some additional information on the upcoming events that we are having. So as you know, we always have monthly Q&As for PMS. Here you have the dates for the rest of the year and also the link to the event page in case you want to register already. Two additional webinars that we will have for the PMS product UI. It is going to happen on the 6th of October. The event page is already available, and you can also register to have it in your calendars. And on the 16th of October, we are having also another webinar to explain how the right PMS API works, all the information that you need to know. The event webpage is also available, so you can also register if you want to. Then on the 8th of October, we also have the quarterly status updates for SPOR and XCBMPD. We will give you a bit of information on what have we done during this quarter, which are the plans for the next one. So a bit of information on SPOR and XCBMPD. As always, here you have the QR code for Slido. You can also join at slido.com and then include this hashtag that we have here. It's presented in all the slides, and it will also be shown now when we display Slido. So please go there. You can start asking your questions. You can also check the questions that are already there and upvote them. So we will be replying the most upvoted questions. And yeah, so this way we don't repeat, or if you check the questions that are already there, we will avoid repetition of questions. So with these keeping notes, I think we can already start. I don't know if Vivian or Greta,
Yes.
You will be presenting this. So
I will be taking over.
you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Okay, so the first question is, kindly confirm if the issues with authorized dose forms when not from the RMS list, and of course that number, and the missing authorized dose form in the product UI have been resolved. If not, please share a tentative timeline for resolution.
Yeah, so the issue has been solved for the majority of the products. There are still two dose forms that we had a problem with the mapping and with the resolution of the issue, and in principle they should be fixed by the end of this week. We want to share an updated version of the Q&A document explaining this after the PI event that is happening next week, so we can give you information on, okay, these are the bugs that have been solved, these are the actions, and these are the ones that we want to fix in Q4. But for this specific one on the authorized dose form, yes, it has been solved for the majority, as I said, of the doses forms. Those products should be now in the product UI. So as I said yesterday during the system demo, if you have tickets opened because you were not able to find some products, now you go and check, and because of this issue has been solved, you can see your products. We really appreciate if you can go to ServiceNow and close those tickets, because yeah, if the issue is solved, that would help us a lot with the cleaning the backlog of the tickets that we have, because if you find them, then there is no need to have those tickets open.
Perfect. So let's move on to the next question. Are there any schedules available regarding the planned 2-week UAT system API test phases for externals?
Okay, so with this question, I guess you mean the opening the UAT environment of the right PMS API. We are discussing internally what is the process to open the UAT environment for companies so they can test the connection of their systems. And we want to give information on the webinar that I said is planned for the 16th of October, if I remember correctly. We will explain you the process, how it will work, etc. But yeah, there are plans to have this environment opened, and yeah, we will give all the information in the webinar.
Perfect. Moving on to the next question. Okay, so should we expect now that PMS enrichment of MBO start date and manufacturing or the authorization reference number for the 22 MBO RMS terms, which were recently in August published in the EU IDMP IG Chapter 2, becomes optional or no longer mandatory?
So maybe I can take this question, colleagues. It's already deployed in production, so you can already submit the information with the MBO start date as optional and not anymore as mandatory. So you can already act on it.
Okay, so next question. Is there a deadline for the split of pack sizes for non-ULCM in EXV MPD, as done for the ULCM? There is a specific guideline. You said that Chapter 3.2 of EXM BPD guidance, but there is stated no defined deadline for non-UICM to split.
So for this, I think a communication has been sent. If not, it will be sent shortly. The deadline for the submission of all the packages for the portfolio, so not the products linked to the Union List of Critical Medicines, has been extended now to end of 2027, if I'm not mistaken.
Marcus,
Yeah.
actually, the enrichment of the pack size for all non-caps in XVMPD and the submission of the structure pack size in PUI and API, because soon we are releasing 2 functionality, is extended until June 27.
Okay.
What remains unchanged is the submission of the manufacturer data for the non-caps for the whole portfolio until end of 2026. So, colleagues, for your information, because there have been few communication being published on the EMA website and PLM portal, the best way is to keep monitoring the PLM portal. There is a section called PMS news, and then you can see in order the communication. And there is also the first one that you will see is this PMS extended data submission deadlines, just to be
Okay.
clear. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, the next question. Several medicinal products remain unretrieved in PMS PUI. Could you please provide an update on the expected resolution timeline? A tentative date would help. The related service now tickets, for instance, that in the code has been pending for considerable time.
Well, that would depend on the issue that you have on those products, because if it's for the authorized dose form, then they should already be visible. If the issue is with for example, the holder, then the reason is different, and then it's not fixed as such, like a general fix as the one for the authorized dose form. Is a specific fix for those products. So we need to investigate what is the issue on this specific ticket. We are working on the tickets. There is a bit of a backlog, but we are working on the oldest tickets to be closed. So yeah, we need to find the issue on those.
Okay, so next question. Chapter 9 states that for Belgium, Luxembourg, and Finland, package duplication, different language ED codes per pack, must be corrected by the applicant once PMS enrichment is available. Could you clarify how this should be done, or if guidance is available?
Yeah. Yeah, so for this one, I think we need to update this specific section. In one of our webinars and also in chapter 3.2 of XCMPD, it says that for those packages, we need to have the same data. So we will be able to merge the packages, so the same package but in different languages. This is still not planned. Hopefully it will happen next year. And then we will update the guidance and we will explain again what has to be done by the marketing authorization holders. So yeah, we need to update this specific part of the guidance. But for the moment, so in chapter 3.2, it is stated that the same package but in different languages. So in Belgium, we have like English, German, Dutch, whatever. You need to include the same information in the package description. So we know, okay, we need to merge those packages because they have the same information in the package description. So we will update the chapter 9. Thank you for the spotting the discrepancy there.
Perfect. So moving on. How should we enter CRO MBO, which no longer exists?
Well, if it doesn't exist anymore, that means that you are not working with, it's not a manufacturer anymore, and therefore you don't need to enter this information. So what we are asking for this first enrichment of manufacturers and MBOs is to include the active and the approved manufacturers and manufacturing business operations. If during the life cycle of your product you have discontinued your activity with one manufacturer, then you don't need to include this one for the initial enrichment. Then if as you need to include the ones that are authorized, that are approved. If during the life cycle next month you discontinue your activity with one manufacturer, then you need to update PMS and you need to say, okay, this is the end date of this manufacturer and this manufacturer business operation. So yeah, if it doesn't exist anymore, it's because you are, in theory, you are not working with this one anymore. Otherwise, if you are still working with this manufacturer is approved and it doesn't exist, let's say in OMS, then you need to create the entry. You need to open a change request, etc.
Okay, next question. The submission of a manufacturer is only for the finished product and not the API or the excipient.
No, that is not correct. So the submission of manufacturers is for the manufacturing business operations that are stated in Chapter 3. And there you have the active substance manufacturer, you have the finished product manufacturer, you have the CROs, you have the batch releaser. There are multiple business operations, and one of them, and it's very important for us, is the active substance manufacturer. We need to know who is responsible for the manufacturer of the active substance. So please go to Chapter 3. You have there the list of business operations that are required.
Okay.
Maybe a clarification for the colleagues, because in PY, you can only enter this information at the level of the products, but as Marcos mentioned, is not only referring to that. We have opened that level only because we don't have yet in PY and API the relationship. So we cannot allow you for the moment to submit the manufacturer and link it to the active ingredients already visible in PY. So that's why maybe this question is coming. But yeah, you need to provide information even for API or excipient, anything that is approved, as Marcos mentioned. It's just that technically there is no possibility at the moment to have a link relationships for the MBO that you submit versus the section that should be referring to. Just this clarification maybe could be useful. Thank you.
So next question. So for data that is correct on XCVMPD but was not well migrated on PMS, Can we already edit on PMS or open a ticket?
Yeah, so PMS only allows editing, let's say, two sections. One is the manufacturers section, so manufacturing business operations, and the structure pack size data. So saying this is a package of 3 tablets or 5 vials, and then also the data carrier. Anything else, you cannot edit it in PMS. So if there is something wrong on the ATC code, on the administrable dose form, whatever, this data is coming from XCBMPD and should be coming from XCBMPD, which means you need to still maintain those records in XCBMPD. So if something is wrong, then yeah, either you check XCBMPD and make sure that there is no, the data is correct there. And if it's there correct and it's not in PMS, you need to open a ticket. But PMS only allows editing these, let's say, two sections, the package, structure package details, and the manufacturers.
Moving on. ESMP monitoring for the critical product will be postponed for both caps and non-caps due to delays in submitting updated manufacturing and pack size information.
I don't have a reply to this question, if it's a question. But the ESMP is already working on doing monitoring and doing analysis. They have the information for the centrally authorized products because the data is coming from SIAMED, and you don't need to enrich cap products. Manufacturers are there, and you are not allowed to submit manufacturers for caps. For non-caps, they are already also doing some monitoring on the products, where they are authorized, etc. But I'm not sure if there is any other delay or anything else that they are not really doing. That should be a question for the ESMP team and not for us.
Next question. Any update on submitting the data carrier identified for caps? Yesterday's system demo showed that non-caps products can submit by PMS UI. Is the same option available for caps?
Yeah, no. We will update this in the guidance and also in chapter 3 for caps. For the moment, we will not request the data carrier identifiers. It will only be available for non-caps. As you might know, the request of the data carrier identifiers is to support POC and the connection between PMS and EPI. We have spoken with Libby, the PO for EPI, and she agrees that, it's for the moment, if we don't receive the data carrier for caps, it is fine. It's just a technical limitation that we have on our side, and we will work to implement something there. But for the moment, we will not require the data carriers for caps.
Next question. So for Luxembourg and Finland, the name and name part does not sync correctly in PMS. The issue was solved, and after resubmission in EV, the data are expected to be as per EV. Please, issue is not resolved.
Okay, we will have a look at this issue. We know there is a bug on identifying in some cases correctly, which language the name is submitted in. Right now is not on the top priority of our bugs, but we will have a look on this syncing case. We are duplicating names or things like that. But if it's for the language, we know that the bug exists, and is right now not one of our priorities because we have other more important bugs that we need to solve.
So next question. After XEV MPD pack size split, some new pack sizes receive different active substance, although they should not have been duplicates. Now in PMS, we have 2 products instead of 1 due to the different AS. What should we do?
So if this change on the active substance is because the XCBMPD team has made a change on the active substance within the validation, then you need to open a ticket for the XBMPD team and ask them to perform the correct validation, or harmonize the validation among all the EV codes. It would be important if you put all the EV codes that are impacted so they can review and perform the same validation. That is if you need to go to XBMPD and check if they have changed the active substance. You also have this information on the third acknowledgement that we send the applicants once we validate a product in XBMPD. If the XBMPD is correct and the validation has been performed like in a harmonized way, and it's because the mapping has changed, then you need to open a ticket for PMS. You need to check where the change is coming from.
Next question. What is the deadline for the submission of manufacturers for UCLM products and what for non-UCLM?
Veronica, can you maybe take I think you have this information more fresh than me.
Yes, no worries, because there are many changes. So colleagues, for the enrichment of the structured data and pack size for non-caps, which are impacted by the ULCM list, you can now submit the information by June 26. So we have extended. Previously was end of 25 this year, and now is June 26. For the submission of any other manufacturer's informations not impacted by ULCM list, so the rest of your portfolio, the deadline remains unchanged, meaning that is still end of December 2026. Instead, what we have also extended is the deadline now splitted for the packages submission, so the pack size first in XBMPD and then the enrichment of the pack size details in PMS is now extended from December 26 to June 27. For anything that you might forgot or you want to refer to, just go to the PLM portal, PMS section, PMS news, and you have all the information listed there. So we don't get confused and we don't mix the dates.
Next question. Regarding the recommendation of including the package authorization number in the package description, is it possible to include it at the end of the description or should be stated at the beginning for a specific reason?
So the package description is a free text field, right? We have always said include the national ID, the national code at the beginning in our examples. You can do whatever you want. It's a free text field. For me, if I were a user, I would include it at the beginning, because then when I go to the product UI, the first thing that I see is this national ID that will allow me to identify the package. If I put it at the end, if I put in a big text, like, okay, this is my package of 15 tablets in a blister, alu, whatever, and then the ID, I need to read a lot of things and then go to the national ID. It's just a recommendation, what we are saying here. You can put it at the beginning, at the end. It is fine. For me, it was just a recommendation on, okay, put it at the beginning, so it's very quickly for you to identify the national ID. Then also, if you need to export things in Excel and you have the national ID and then a hyphen or something with formulas, you can split, and it's helpful. But again, you can do you can put it the way you want.
Next question. Is there an RMS term that suits for a distributor of a medicinal product? Manufacturer business operation list. Distributor are needed to track for Annex H, but not in scope of PMS edited. Sort of confirm it's a bit, but I hope you can understand, Marcos.
So I think, there is an Annex H that, to be honest, I'm not aware of what this Annex is, that needs to have this distributor. So the manufacturing business operation list is a list that is regulated by the inspections team, They have not asked the RMS colleagues, and maybe Veronica, you can also, you've been working for RMS as well. They have not requested this term.
I'm looking at the RMS list, and what we have is storage and distribution of active substance and medicinal products. So maybe that's fall under your scope, but the best way would be not even contacting maybe RMS, just to ask them, the RMS team, if there is any revision or planned for this list specifically, because I know they refer always for questions like this one, business and regulatory aspects. They always contact the inspection team because they are the one who own this list. So my first suggestion would be you can contact RMS term even via Snow, and then a request even in the tickets to please contact or pass or forward this request to the inspection team, so they can even cross-check with them. But from PMS, I'm afraid I don't have any answer on that. It's very regulatory wise.
Yeah, also we usually receive, like, for example, this CRO that we included in chapter 3, that was a request from the inspections colleagues, and they ask, okay, we need to have this information in PMS because there is a business process and we want to have this information. So far, we have not received any request on this distributor, but maybe we can check also internally what this Annex H is and how they are tracking this. Because I think also in Siamed, we don't have this distributor, as at least I haven't seen it. So we will try to check, and if there is something that is required for the applicants, we will let you know.
So moving on. Oops, sorry, I think I'll actually get that before. Okay.
Well, I don't know if
yes.
I can maybe what the legacy product is, because it is important then to submit the manufacturers, like based on the granularity, like high levels or lower levels. We don't really have a definition of a legacy product, but we will try to explain this in chapter 3 once we are able to update it and explain when you can submit the high level granularity and when you cannot, or you need to submit the more granular or the high level. At the end, it's whenever you are able to provide the lower granularity, so in the hierarchical list of RMS, when you can provide the lowest granularity, then that's perfect. That means that you have this information in your dossier or in your application form, and that's what we need. If your product is so old that was approved in a different granularity and you are able to provide only the high-level terms, then we will accept that. So at the end is based a bit on the applicants, what information you have. The more granular, the better, and that would define what you need to submit. But we will try to explain it a bit on the chapter 3.
This question: is there any way we can automate the mapping of PMS IDs to XED MPD data or codes?
Well, if you know how to write some code and build an app, I guess it's possible. So in PMS, we have the PMS ID, and then inside the product, we also have the EV codes. And we are assigning the EV codes also to the packages, which also have a package PMS ID. So through the API, you can download this information and you can automate, okay, this is my EV code, this is my package ID, and this is my PMS ID. But also in the product UI, there is a table that gives you this relationship. All your packages with the EV codes, with the package ID, and with the PMS ID. So you can extract this information with a click. You can download the Excel, and there you will have the mapping already done. That would be the easiest way to do it. In the dynamic reports of the product UI, the package report, and there you will have all the links, PMS ID, package ID, and EV code.
Perfect. Next question. So pack item quantity requires value plus unit. Unit should be selected from unit of presentation RMS list. The box and other related terms are non-current status. Is there no suitable term present in the RMS list? Please suggest alternative term or guide as to how to handle this.
Okay, a lot of information in this question. Okay, so we have the unit on the package item quantity, container quantity. Okay, and the box has no non-current status in this list. Okay, so we have not gone yet to this package item container and the review of the list and including new terms or changing the status of terms and things like that, because for the moment we are not requiring this information to be submitted to PMS. So we are working on steps. We worked on the manufacturing business operation list because this is what is required. Then we need to work on the materials list. We will need to work on the package item container, etc. So please bear with us. We have different priorities on the reviewing of the lists and everything. And for the moment, we are not, RMS also is not reviewing or approving terms based on PMS requirements because we have not defined them yet. So for this case, I would say you need to wait until we are able to discuss with the SMEs this information and this list.
Okay, so next question. Feels like the package description is blank on one record but not the other, yet EV Web has the field populated, so appears an issue with the migration. What is the resolution to fix this as sending dummy XC FNPD records is not an option?
So this is a bug that is explained in the PMS Q&A document, and one of my priorities for next quarter is to fix this bug. That sometimes we took the previous XCV PRM without the package description, and that's why even if you have sent it with the package description now, we have not triggered this one in PMS, and it's one of my priorities or our priorities on for next quarter. So hopefully it will be solved by next quarter.
Moving on. Where is the list of national codes that should be included in the pack size description? I was not able to locate it.
Yeah. So it's not a list of all the national codes. It's a list which says for Spain, you need to include what we call the Código Nacional. For France, you don't need to use the NL code, but it's a different code. In Germany, the code has this name, and this is what you need to put. You can find it in the Q&A, PMS Q&A document, which is also in the PLM portal. Maybe we can share the link here or in the presentation, and there you have a link. I'm also put it as a reply of this question, so you can have a look, and yeah, it's this PDF. You have there the list. And maybe, Vivian, if we include the link in the presentation before publishing it, I think it's also good.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Okay, so next question. Okay, so when previous E-codes get synced with PMS PUI?
In theory, never. So when you have a transfer and you need to say, okay, this is my previous EV code, what we will do is we will replace the new EV code, and we will include it in that product. So the previous EV code in principle will disappear because it's from a different company. You have the information on how these transfers work in chapter 9 that was updated before summer or around summer. The explanation on how this works, like you do this in XMPD and this is what happens in PMS. So I would recommend you to have a look at the guidance because it is explained and with examples as well.
So next question is checking the product data in the PMS against the XCV MPD is quite challenging. Any tips on this?
Yeah, so we had a webinar. I don't remember the name now. It was like PMS to support small and medium enterprises or something like this. We can also try to find the link. It's the recording and the presentation is in the EMA webpage, and there I gave a couple of tips on how to export data from XCMPD, how to export data from PMS, how to compare products using formulas in Excel. I would have a look at this webinar. I think it was quite useful for some companies that don't have a lot of resources or system to compare data. And with Excel, you can do a lot. So I would follow the tips that we gave in this webinar.
So next question. Okay. CRO MBO. Further clarification is needed on this. Only what is approved is to enrich. That makes sense for the manufacturer. Are actually CRO possible to have approved and then removed?
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's correct. So CROs are used for the bioequivalence studies, and then they are not really approved. They worked on your study, and yeah, you need to provide this information. The manufacturers, on the other hand, you can start working with a manufacturer, and then 2 years later you decide to discontinue your activity because you have found another manufacturer. So for the CRO, the ones that have been doing the bioequivalence studies, they need to be submitted. It doesn't matter if it was last year or 5 years ago. They cannot really be removed because it's a one-time thing or an activity that they have done. For the rest of the manufacturers, the batch releaser, etc., with the first enrichment, you put the ones that are currently approved, and then from now on, then you need to maintain this data. So let's say you have now a batch releaser is doing this activity for your product. You put it in PMS. Next year, you find a different batch releaser, and therefore this one it's removed. You send the variation to remove it. You need to go to PMS next year whenever the variation is approved and include the end date of in this manufacturing activity to say this one worked before, but it's not working anymore. I hope it's a bit more clear now.
So next question. We've had a lot of reported tickets closed with the explanation that it is a known issue, but it's not listed in the known issues on the website. Where can we check for that latest list of known issues?
Again, it's in the Q&A document that we have on the PLM portal. We will share the link on the presentation when we publish it in the event page. So please have a look because it's been updated a couple of times, and I think it's a very useful document to know, okay, what is happening, when the issues will be solved, etc. So yeah, we will put this information on the website.
So next question. For the submission of manufacturers and MBOs in PMS, could you kindly confirm which role is needed in order to see the button to add manufacturer? Or what additional actions are to be taken to be able to perform this?
So you need to have the industry user role, the qualified industry user role, so you are able to edit all the fields and all the manufacturers and everything. My recommendation is that you check the user guidance of the product UI. That is also in the PLM portal. I think we have received a couple of comments or tickets like this, and the issue is that you are entering into the product and you are expecting to see there a way to edit the product. And it doesn't work like this. Whenever you filter the product and you have the list of products, then you can select them and the edit button will be made available. So you don't need to go into the product details. It's one step before. So my recommendation is go to the PLM portal, the user guidance, the user manual. There you have all the explanation on how to edit, how the step-by-step guidance. I think is the best way to understand how it works, which are the roles that you need to request, etc. And if you still have questions, you can open a ticket for the product UI team. They will check if you have the correct role. If you can send some screenshots of what you see, they can also guide you on, okay, you are doing this wrong, or yeah.
Okay. So next question. For caps also, is the timeline extended as it is done for non-caps?
So you don't need to enrich caps because we already have the information that is needed from SciAmet. So caps, let's say, are out of scope of this enrichment. You just need to go and check that the manufacturers that are there are the same as the ones that you have. That it's mainly what you need to do. Just review the data that we have. But you don't need to submit manufacturers or the pack size. It's already there. And then also splitting the pack sizes in XCMPD, it is mandatory to submit all the packages when a cap is approved. So you should already have all your packages for all your caps. So no action on caps.
Next question. Some medicinal products are twice in POI. When looking further, one of the records as packaging information from another product. IT nullified both records, although it is valid in XCB MPD. What is the resolution for this migration issue?
So we need to, there is a bug on some duplicated products. That is also one of the priorities for this quarter, for Q4, to be solved. And therefore, we will need to, check. We would need to check this specific one. So I think you can open a ticket with the EV codes, or that would help us to identify this specific issue.
Okay, next. Does withdrawn products need to be enriched for data like MBO PKG's description in PMS?
No. Withdrawn products are withdrawn, and there's no need to enrich those products.
Next question. Okay, we cannot find regional authorities in PMS. We only find national ones, but regional authorities are on manufacturing licenses for API manufacturers. This is a problem for Chinese and Indian manufacturers. What should we pass?
So I think there is misunderstanding here, because we are not asking for like Chinese or Indian. We find.
I think, Marcos, they're referring to the MBO data submission in PUI. And so what we did, and I remember in summertime, at the beginning, this section, the authority responsible for granting, the letter for the manufacturer sites, was only displaying NCAs or anyway national authorities. Then we opened exactly because of this reason, because there are some products that have the manufacturer been authorized by other authorities. So you should be able to find it. If it's not in OMS, it needs to be recorded by the OMS service. So in this case, is another service, is not PMS, is OMS, because we are directly loading data from the OMS API into it. So it means that it's not available. It needs to be created, and then you will see that automatically available in PUI. I think Marcus, they're referring to that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Moving on. Okay. Should MAHs add the pack sizes in PMS or in XCV MPD?
Okay. Let's try to explain the difference between a pack size and the structure pack size data. So the pack size is the presentation, right? You have a presentation of 10 tablets, and then you have another one for 15 tablets. These two different presentations should have two different EV codes, and therefore you need to submit them in XCVMPD. Okay, new entries should always be submitted to XCVMPD, the product and the packages. So one entry per package. Now, with this submission, you will get a new package in PMS, and in PMS, we need to know in a structured way that we have a package for 10 tablets and the other one of 15 tablets. In XCVMPD, you can only put it this as a package description, it's a free text. We need to have the 15 as a value and the tablet as a value. So the package itself, you go to XCVMPD and you submit it as a new record, as a new EV code. And then the structured data, you go to PMS, you edit the product and you say, this package that I have submitted in XCVMPD is the one for 10 tablets. And it's two different terms that you need to include there. So that's the difference between what you submit in XCVMPD and what you submit in PMS.
So next question. Do we still need to split the pack sizes for non-critical medicines in XCVMPD before updating PMS?
So it depends what you want to update in PMS. If you want to update, it's not really update, it's edit. If you want to edit the manufacturers, you can do it, even if you have not split the packages in XCVMPD. Now, if you want to also add this structured data, you need to split the packages, because otherwise you would have only one package in PMS that would say 5, 10, 15, and 20 tablets. You need to choose one. So you need to split it, create 4 different entries in XCVMPD. You will have 4 different packages in PMS, and then you can edit the structured data and say, this one for 5 tablets, this other one for 10, and so on.
So, when is the updated chapter 3 going to be published?
We have a dependency with the PDF EAF team, and as soon as this dependency is solved, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will be able to update the chapter 3.
So, next question, and I would just like to mention in the meantime that we have also launched our survey. So if you skip just forward, you will find a satisfaction survey. So it's always really useful for us to receive feedback. I know we've also had in the previous session that we had Q&A clinic in August a bit of technical issues, but we've solved them. So we're quite happy to, that we're able to solve them. So thank you for any, feedback that you can share. And I will just continue in this last few minutes so we can cover some more questions. So please note there is a minor issue in PMS PUI. The legal basis field is not in sync with EV.
Okay, thank you. We will take notes of this. Okay, we have not received any comments like this, but we will check. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. Do you have any application tools that compares the data difference between PMS and XCVMPD, or do you have any plans in future providing such a tool?
So no, we don't have a tool like this. And the plan is to decommission XCVMPD, so we will not invest resources on creating a tool that compares this data. That's why we also had this webinar on giving tips to companies on how they can compare the data between both systems. But yeah, unfortunately, internally we don't have a tool to really compare the data between both systems.
So next question. The organization data reflected in PMS is not in compliance with OMS, wrong log ID or old company names. Is there a timeline for synchronization? We opened several tickets. These are not solved.
Yeah, so this is actually not a problem from PMS. That's a problem from IRIS, and we have explained this in a couple of webinars. So the way IRIS manages the data from OMS is the reason why sometimes you can see old company names. So you've made a change in your name in OMS, but in the product UI you still see the old name, and it's because Iris is not getting these updates automatically. And therefore in the UI you see the old name. For the log IDs, it happens with the merges. So if there has been a merge of organizations, sometimes there's a link to the old log ID, not the surviving one. And it's also because of the way Iris is managing this, the data from OMS. So as you can imagine, this is impacting not only the product UI, but also other consuming systems from Iris. There has been an internal investigation. We have given the requirements to Iris on what should be the behavior, etc. And now there are discussions on how to implement and fix this issue. We don't have any news yet on when this is going to be implemented or how. And therefore, what we are doing is going and check manually and changing it manually, ticket by ticket, when there is an issue like this. So yes, please just, bear with us. We are working on the tickets, and yeah, from the ones that were opened before to the newest ones. And then we will need to check, okay, what's the issue? Because it might also be a bit of mapping. So we need to identify first the root cause, and then we do the manual change until we are able to have everything synchronized in the correct way from Iris.
Next question, still a couple minutes left. Why is there a discrepancy with full presentation name in PMS versus XCVMPD? For instance, powder for a solution versus powder for a solution in prefilled syringe. And what is the resolution for this?
So that might sound like an issue with a cap. First, you need to check if in the product UI there is an EV code linked to this product. If there is no EV code, that means that this cap, the information is only coming from Sciamed, and in Sciamed we don't capture the refill syringe. And therefore there is an issue with what we call the merge between XCVMPD and Sciamed. And then we need to investigate. It's either your log ID is not the same as the one in Sciamed, or the EU number is not the same, and therefore we cannot do the merge. So I would check first this, and then if you still don't see the issue, just open a ticket, because it might be a synchronization issue, and we need to investigate where the issue is. If it's in Sciamed, if it's in XCVMPD, etc.
Okay, perfect. And for one last question, I believe, and of course the others will be addressed separately. So products having different MA numbers at pack size level appear as separate medicinal products in PMS instead of one. Is this by design?
No, I would ask you to check other things like so depending on the country, you might need to check the full product name if it's the same in both EV codes, if the active substance is the same and the strength is the same, if the MA holder is the same. So actually, I would recommend you to read chapter 7. Then look for the country, like if it's Spain, there's a specific section that explains we use these fields from XCMPD to group EV codes. Then go to XCMPD, check the details, and if all the data is the same in XCMPD, then open a ticket. Otherwise, you might need to make changes in XCMPD if the data is not the same in both EV codes.
Perfect. I think that's so the time that we had. So I'll leave it to you, Marcos, to close the session, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, everybody. As Vivian said, please fill the survey. It's very important for us. So, yeah, we get a lot of feedback from there, and it's very important for us. And nothing, I'll see you this afternoon in the XCMPD clinics if you want to join. Otherwise, we'll see you next month on the PMS Q&A clinic as well. And thank you.